I had some kind of a shamanic experience where I felt that my mind was being crystallized along different lines.
What is a shaman, and why do you say a shaman is one of the most original of all artists?
Ah, yes. Well, shaman is, it's a word that has grown way beyond its origins. It was originally used by so-called native people in Siberia regions. And now it's been expanded to mean any kind of wise old healer of the tribe, anybody who takes charge of magical operations within the tribe, who blesses things. Sometimes they curse things or people, but they are the holders of the esoteric knowledge, the knowledge of the unknown or the other spirit worlds. And they are known for traveling to these other worlds by various means. They have access to them in a way that ordinary people don't. And usually they have arrived at this condition through some catastrophic event in their lives. It's very common that people will discover that they are meant for this shaman creative role because of some catastrophe in their life. Many of the old ones in the tribes used to write about or tell about being attacked by a bear or something like that, and really mauled up and chewed and almost at death's door. But that process of being chewed up, broken, a lot of bones broken and so forth, allowed them to reassemble in a different way. And it's almost like they became radio receivers or crystal sets that could receive the transmissions of this other world. And many anthropologists have collected stories about these people who also say that they have a certain particular kind of dream that guides them to be a shaman or a healer of the tribe. They call them, in anthropology, they call them the wounded healers, because often they do go through some kind of near-death experience, either in reality or in their dreams. And so these are the original artists, I think. I think that these things happened spontaneously a long, long time ago, but that we can see evidence of it in the cave paintings that have survived for 40,000 years in some cases. You see images of people dressed up in the skins of animals, dancing and obviously doing some kind of magical operations in the disguise of animals. And that's part of their deal, is that often they will form a relationship with a particular animal that's important to the tribe, maybe, that they live on the deer or they live on the buffalo, and so somebody needs to be the mediator between the buffalo and the human beings. And understand, if the buffalo all have gone away, where did they go and what can we do to bring them back? So the shamans sometimes have that function, that job to do, to bridge the gap. Or if there's something wrong in the society, like all the water has dried up, the streams aren't running anymore, the shaman sometimes will put a rug over his or her head and just meditate for a while and travel to these other worlds, to the spirit world. And there the spirits tell them, well, you have to go up to the source. Somebody has to go up to the spring and see what's gone wrong up there. And then they march up there and they find that, well, trees have fallen in and the way for the water is blocked. So we have to clean the drains and we have to open the water so that it can flow again. Or we have to do something to make peace with the animal world or with the spirit world, nature world. And the shamans often will bring that message in a form that we recognize as creativity: dances, songs, stories, images. They'll make images of gods and goddesses, masks that allow people to get a little taste of this other world, or they'll bring back from the spirit world, they'll bring back a dance and have everybody do the dance, and it has the effect of bringing people together and healing whatever was out of balance. So they're the natural balancing agents that bring the two worlds into a happy, harmonious relationship. At least that's the ideal.
So then, current artists, are we broken individuals trying to make ourselves whole through our art?
I think every artist recognizes a little bit of this shamanic heritage, because you don't get to be an artist by being happy and by being unconcerned about things or having no problems to deal with in life. You would be a pretty boring artist if you came from that background and that approach. It doesn't mean that you have to suffer to be an artist, but you have to understand and have experienced some of the darker side of life so that you can interpret it and deal with it convincingly to other people. So I think it's part of the kind of common idea about artists is that they suffer, and if they haven't suffered enough, they're not going to be a very good artist. So there is some truth to it, although I wouldn't say go out and make yourself miserable if you want to be an artist. You don't have to worry about that. It'll come to you, you know, so don't go seeking for trouble. But yeah, I think this shamanic thing it's something that came up for me when the pandemic hit. I didn't know what to do as a kind of artist or somebody who kind of ministers in a way to artists. And then I thought, well, then the thing to do is the shamanic thing, which is to go inward. And so I went for a series of long walks alone and tried to open myself to, okay, universe, you've thrown us this gigantic curve. How are we supposed to respond to it? And if there are such spirits, I think they speak to us when we ask them. And I asked, and the answer that I got in my mind was go inward. And all artists should really go to work now to make works, to interpret this, and to help people and heal people, because the world needs it very badly. So that's my orientation to the shamanic obligation, is when things are out of balance, that's the artist and the shaman's job, to give people metaphors in the form of songs, dances, stories, art, that allows people to compare their own situation to that of the characters in the song, the dance, the story, the art, and take lessons from that in a kind of safe way, you know, where you aren't experiencing it yourself, but you're seeing pretty drastic things go on, and if you're smart, you'll take lessons from that.
Sure, and that's interesting that you said experience it yourself, because it almost sounds like a method actor in some ways, where the dark side of that is then you can take on the dark energy or the sadness of others in trying to help.
Yeah, you know, I think there are dangers and warnings to be observed here, you know, that you are dealing with very, very intense forces. within yourself, and that just exists around us. And as an artist, you open yourself up to that, but you also are obligated, I think, to maintain a very strong sense of yourself, because it would be easy to get lost and to find yourself tempted by the power that is offered by these things. I'll just say this, that in the early development of my ideas, I had a kind of a shamanic experience where I had worked very hard on a paper for class, just a term paper, about Star Wars and Close Encounters and this Joseph Campbell hero's journey idea, and put it all together, and stayed up a couple of nights doing all-nighters, as students will do. And I was in an exhausted state of mind after turning in the paper the next day, and something hit me. I had some kind of a shamanic experience where I felt that my mind was being crystallized along different lines, and where I might have seen things like a cube before, simple, 6 sides and a few angles. All of a sudden it was some complex geometric shape like a dodecahedron that has 12 faces and is very complex with lots of interactions. So in that process, I felt I was communicating with the spirit world. And this is all in my head. I'm not like seeing visions or anything. I'm just thinking. And it was as if there was a crowd of nurses or doctors around me who were saying, there's a live one. Here's a guy who's kind of tuned into this stuff. And we can offer him a deal here, that you can use this material, this idea of the hero's journey, any way you want. You could start a new religion, you could run the world, you could do all sorts of things, create a very successful business out of it if you want, market it, or use it benevolently to heal the world. It's up to you. And I thought for just a second, and I said, well, if we have the choice, let's make the world a little bit better place. Let's use this to tune things up, make it better. And those spirits in my mind said, good choice, and we will support you in that. And so you're going to have to work hard, don't get the wrong idea, but we will look out for you. And if you keep the positive view of this forward, and you make it with that intention that this is for good, then we'll support you, and all will be well. So, and that's really been borne out in my career. I certainly have had to work hard, but I've always felt backed up by that original choice and by those spirit guides. So I take the shamanic thing pretty seriously as a real thing for me.